Hello, everyone. I'm Amit Gautam, founder and CEO of TextileGenesis. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, I would like to share with you the core of our technology platform, how the system works, what are the core problems we are solving in the textile value chain, and some work with what we're doing with key brands, global standards bodies, and also with key sustainable fiber producers. So let me start very briefly about us. We are based out of Hong Kong, so that's where we started, and very quickly expanded into 6 key locations in India, where we have our technology R&D center, in Amsterdam, where we have our marketing office, and in mainland China, Bangladesh, and Turkey, which is where we provide a lot of support to suppliers in terms of training and onboarding. The core of our technology is what we call fiber coin technology, which is essentially digitization of physical volume of fiber. So every kilogram of sustainable fiber is digitized on our platform to create fiber forward real-time traceability. And I'll come back later to what fiber coin is and how they actually function. The second very important part about how we drive scalability in the industry is our global traceability partnerships with key standards bodies like Textile Exchange, where we are completely digitizing the PDF and paper-based transaction certificates, or rather eliminating them and using the fiber coin as a chain of custody. With Canopy in Canada, they are one of the leading standards body for man-made cellulosic fibers, and we integrate with the hot button ranking, and likewise with the US Cotton Trust Protocol for traceability of US cotton fibers. So these standards body allow us to really drive a broad industry scalability across multiple brands and creates synergies of scale with suppliers as well. Our focus is primarily on sustainable and differentiated materials, which runs from man-made cellulosic fibers, recycled synthetics, recycled cotton, single origin cotton, and wool. We do not focus on commodity or conventional material. That's not our prime focus. And the reason is sustainable materials is where brands are making claim towards consumer at product level, or brands are actually making a procurement and sourcing claim at the corporate level. Our system is available in 3 different languages on a cloud platform and a 24/7 customer support. And right now we're serving close to 40 plus leading global brands that collectively drive close to 250 billion plus apparel sales. Now, if I look at textile and fashion industry, it's one of the most fragmented industry on the planet. If you compare that to consumer electronics or automotive, fashion textile is twice as big as electronics, even bigger than global automotive industry. However, the market share of the top 10 brands is less than 10%, unlike what you see in electronics or automotive, where it's close to 80 or 95%. Now, why is it important? It's important because it's an indication of the level of fragmentation in the textile industry, and that directly leads to what we call 95% traceability gap. And what we mean by 95% traceability gap is essentially that top 100 fashion brands, they have collectively set a target of 100% sustainable and traceable materials target by 2025 to 2030. However, majority of the same top 100 fashion brands have limited to no visibility beyond tier 1 and tier 2. So of course, they know the tier 1, which is a direct supplier. Sometimes they know tier 2, which is the fabric mill. However, anything beyond that is a black box. And that's the core problem we are solving at TextileGenesis. And this 95% traceability gap is also exacerbated because of the fact it's a very, very long value chain in the textile industry. It's complex, it's long, it's fragmented across the entire supply chain. And that's what directly leads to what I mentioned earlier, the 95% traceability gap. Now, the way we are solving that problem is through 3 core innovations. First is what we call fiber coin technology, where every kilogram of sustainable fiber is digitized at point of origin. So 1 kg of fiber becomes 1 fiber coin. And as fiber is transformed to yarn, yarn to fabric, fabric to garment, those tokens are passed along at article level, and therefore it creates full digital traceability, eliminating the need for any PDF or paper-based transaction certificates, which has been historically used in the industry. The second important benefit to the digitization using digital tokens is you eliminate double counting, and you eliminate triple counting in the supply chain and create a closed loop supply chain system. The second important part of our innovation is what we call traceability data protocol, where every single definition of yarn or fabric or finished garment is standardized across the entire value chain. And that traceability data protocol allows each supplier to upload data onto the system. And what we have created is a rule-based AI engine where 300 different product flows are modeled in the textile value chain, along with the wastage loss and yield loss, right? So every transaction on the system reflects what happens in the real world. And third part of our core innovation is that we can integrate with the physical verification systems that exist in the textile value chain, be it a DNA marker, a pigment marker, or an inorganic or organic chemistry marker. Doesn't matter. The system is agnostic to any of the physical tracer technologies, so that a yarn sample, a fabric sample, or a garment sample can be picked up and physically verified to show the origin of the fiber. So by end of this year, we expect to have 500 million plus products tracked on the platform, 1,300 plus all sustainable and differentiated suppliers on the platform, and 40 plus leading global brands that we're working with currently. Now, the way the system works, it engages two ends of the supply chain extremely closely. That's quite important. We work with sustainable fiber producers at the beginning of the textile supply chain to create those eligible stocks of fiber and yarn, which is largely a made-to-stock part of the supply chain. And then we work closely with the brands at the other end of the value chain to capture their purchase orders and use the existing stocks from the made-to-order or made-to-stock part of the supply chain to fulfill the orders in the made-to-order part of the supply chain. Yeah. So the key principle is that each supplier, every transaction must originate with fiber, sustainable fiber origin, and each of those value chain actors must have verified inventory from their upstream supplier before they can conduct their transaction on the system, which is what happens in the real world, right? If you're a fabric mill, if you do not have a yarn of the right composition, of the right construction, you cannot create your finished fabric. Similarly, on the platform, each supplier must have inventory from their upstream supplier before they can fulfill the order for the downstream customer. So essentially, there are four core fundamental principles that we have designed our system around. First is verified point of origin with e-tokens to eliminate double counting. Second, every transaction is fiber forward, so we follow the flow of goods instead of garment backwards traceability, where you look back into the history of the transactions and often rely on historical unreliable data. Third core principle is the rule-based AI engine. So every transaction is validated against those 300 business rules or product flows that represent the actual physical transaction or transformation that happens in the textile value chain. So if there is there's no transaction that can be done on our system which does not reflect a physical transformation that happens in the value chain from yarn to fabric or fabric to finished garment. And finally, the fourth core principle is independent verification through forensic tracer verification, as I mentioned earlier, and the third-party audits. So we give access to third-party auditing bodies like Control Union, Intertech, Bureau Veritas, who can log into the system and verify the ESG credentials, environmental, social governance credentials of suppliers, and also verify transactions. So this is how the system looks like for a brand and retailer, where on the system they can see the entire value chain, starting from farm or recycled material source through all of the transformation events, from fiber production to filament production to raw wool tops, spinning, fabric, weaving, so on and so forth, all the way up to the to the brand. Now, this particular visibility is only available to brands and retailers. The data of other supply chain actors stays completely confidential because of data privacy and confidentiality. So each supplier can only see one step up and one step down, which means they can see where are they buying the materials and who they're shipping their product to, which anyhow they know, right? So this ensures the confidentiality and competitively sensitive data fully stays confidential, and except brand, no other supplier can see the entire value chain.